Welcome to the 2020-2022 Grow Your Own Grant Program Overview webinar. This is the first recording in a series of short informational webinars that will cover each component of the Grow Your Own Grant application. This video will cover the motivation and purpose of this grant opportunity. This includes the background information and rationale for the program, an overview of the grant components, information regarding application eligibility, timelines, process, and requirements, and finally, links to additional information and resources to support your completion of the application. We recommend viewing these webinars while referencing the program guidelines and application documents. The program guidelines document, commonly called the RFA, will be your most comprehensive guide to much of the content outlined in the applicant webinar. The 2020-2022 Grow Your Own Grant Program has been designed to elevate the teaching profession in Texas and facilitate increased entry of qualified, diverse candidates into the teaching profession, particularly in rural and small school settings. This grant aligns with the Texas Education Agency's #1 strategic priority, which is to recruit, support, and retain teachers and principals. For the purpose of this grant, a small school is designated by LEA student enrollment. The intention of the grant program is to address several challenges Texas currently faces in terms of recruiting candidates to the field, such as teacher shortages in traditionally hard-to-staff areas, particularly in rural regions throughout the state, and bilingual and special education certification areas, demographic gaps between students and teachers, and a declining perception of the teaching profession as demonstrated by the stated lack of desire of high school students to pursue teaching as a profession. Research demonstrates that these challenges can be effectively addressed by local education agencies in partnership with institutions of higher education through a number of Grow Your Own approaches. The 2020-2022 Grow Your Own Grant Program offers three approaches, or three paths. The three approaches for this grant allows opportunities to grow your own educators along the teacher pipeline. The pipeline includes entry points for high school students, paraprofessionals, educator preparation program candidates, and certified teachers. Pathway 1 focuses on high school students and certified teachers. It offers a stipend to teachers who will teach and support education and training courses. It also provides additional funding to establish or grow CTE education and training programs for high school students to complete, and to grow dual credit programs in education and training. Pathway 2 offers a stipend to help transition paraprofessionals, instructional aides, and long-term substitute teachers to full-time teaching roles. And Pathway 3 provides funds to support an intensive pre-service or a year-long clinical teaching assignment for teacher candidates prior to becoming certified teachers of record. Pathway 1 offers stipends to support educators in establishing, implementing, and enhancing CTE education and training courses with dual credit opportunities in their school and district. The ultimate outcome of this pathway is to increase high school students' exposure, particularly students in rural communities and students of color, to the teaching profession early in their career planning. For more information on Pathway 1 grant design and intended outcomes, refer to pages 12 through 15 of the RFA Program Guidelines document. To support implementation of education and training courses, Pathway 1 offers a stipend of $5,000 for teachers who will teach principles of education and training, instructional practices, and/or practicum in education and training. An additional $500 per teacher can be used for administrative costs, so $5,500 is allocated. Pathway 1 also offers a stipend of $10,000 for teachers with the appropriate master's degree who will teach instructional practices and/or practicum in education and training for dual credit. An additional $1,000 per teacher can be used for administrative costs, so $11,000 is allocated. The maximum number of stipends that can be awarded for Pathway 1 is 2 per high school within the LEA. For this pathway, eligible applicants, the entities who will complete and submit a grant application, include any LEA and any ESC of any size or type. ESCs can only serve as the fiscal agent of a shared services agreement for LEAs. Eligible candidates, the individuals receiving the stipend, include teachers who currently serve as or will serve as the teacher of record for the 3 education and training courses listed in the RFA. The stipend may be awarded to a teacher who is new to teaching the education and training courses on a campus, and also to teachers who have been and currently are teaching education and training courses on a campus. Please see pages 9 through 10 of the RFA program guidelines for additional eligibility requirements for selected candidates. Remember, you will report these individuals to TEA, so they must meet the listed requirements. To further support the implementation and growth of education and training courses, and to ensure that they are available for all students in the LEA, Pathway 1 applicants must also include funds in their budget of either $8,000 or $10,000 per high school to establish or expand their CTE education and training program. The amount is dependent on the offerings of education and training courses at each high school within the participating LEA. There are 3 options. High schools with existing education and training courses in the 2019-2020 school year are eligible for $8,000 amount. High schools without existing education and training courses in the 2019-2020 school year are eligible for a $10,000 amount. High schools that will be implementing dual credit education and training courses, both in the 2020-2021 and 2021-2022 school years, are eligible for a $10,000 amount, regardless of previous course offerings. The use and breakdown of these funds will be clarified in the Pathway 1 webinar. Pathway 2 focuses on the recruitment and support of paraprofessionals, instructional aides, and long-term substitutes currently employed by the district to transition to certified full-time teaching roles. The intention of Pathway 2 is to promote better long-term recruitment and retention by targeting already proven and dedicated staff who desire opportunities for advancement. To support the transition to full-time teaching roles, Pathway 2 offers up to $12,000 to cover the cost of completing a bachelor's degree and teaching certification, with an additional $1,000 dedicated to administrative costs, or up to $5,000 per participant to cover the cost of earning a teacher certification only, with an additional $500 to cover administrative costs. The maximum number of participants for Pathway 2 is 9 participants per LEA, since it must be implemented in conjunction with Pathway 1. Eligible applicants for Pathway 2 include the LEAs and ESCs who are already applying for Pathway 1. ESCs can only serve as a fiscal agent of a shared services agreement for LEAs. If an applicant is applying for both Pathway 1 and Pathway 2, there is still a combined maximum number of 10 candidates per LEA. Candidates who can receive grant funds include paraprofessionals, instructional aides, and long-term substitutes who are currently employed by the district in the 2019-2020 school year. Please see page 10 of the RFA program guidelines for additional eligibility requirements for selected candidates. Remember, you will report those individuals to TEA, so they must meet the listed requirements. Note, applicants cannot apply for Pathway 2 by itself. Pathway 2 is only offered as an add-on for Pathway 1. If applying for Pathway 2, you must also apply for Pathway 1. It is also important to note that if you apply for Pathway 2, the total number of participants for a single application is 10, shared between both pathways. Pathway 3 focuses on developing and supporting well-qualified, diverse candidates who have stated a desire to serve in rural and/or hard-to-staff roles. To support the development of future candidates, Pathway 3 funding includes 2 options. One offers a stipend of $15,000 per candidate to complete a year-long clinical teaching assignment in rural and/or hard-to-staff roles, areas, and regions of the state. Up to $5,000 to fund the cost of field supervision, an additional $2,000 per candidate for administrative costs. Therefore, $22,000 is allocated. Alternatively, Pathway 3 offers a stipend of $5,000 per teacher candidate to complete an intensive pre-service program, with an additional $500 per candidate for administrative costs. Therefore, $5,500 is allocated. In Cycle 3, an EPP applicant may apply for a combination of Pathway 3 candidates and does not have to select one of the two models. The maximum number of participants for this pathway is 10 per partner LEA. Eligible applicants include only EPPs with certain accreditation designations. These are accredited, accredited not rated, and accredited warned. EPPs that currently hold an accredited probation designation are not eligible to apply to the Cycle 3 of the Grow Your Own Grant. A link to current designations is available on page 5 of the RFA program guidelines. Eligible EPPs with the correct designation are inclusive of LEAs, institutions of higher education, and alternative certification programs whose clinical or intensive pre-service experiences meet the minimum requirements stated in the RFA program guidelines. If applying to fund year-long clinical candidates, Cycle 3 also now includes 2 years of funding rather than 1. Individuals are not eligible to apply for this grant. Eligible candidates who will receive stipends must not already hold a teaching certification. Please see pages 10 through 11 of the RFA program guidelines for additional eligibility requirements for selected candidates that receive stipends. Remember, you will report these individuals to TEA, so they must meet the listed requirements. As a quick recap, Pathway 1 offers stipends to support educators in establishing or growing education and training programs within the LEA. It also offers an additional amount to support program implementation. Pathway 2 offers stipends to transition paraprofessionals, instructional aides, and long-term substitutes to full-time teaching roles. This pathway is only an add-on to Pathway 1. Pathway 3 offers a stipend to support teacher candidate participation in selected models. For a more in-depth overview of each grant pathway, please reference the individual Pathways 1, 2, and 3 videos, which can be accessed on the same page as this video. Who is eligible to apply for this grant? Any LEA or ESC is eligible for Pathways 1 and 2. EPPs with the correct accreditation status are eligible for Pathway 3. An applicant is eligible even if it has been previously awarded a grant in Cycle 1 or Cycle 2. Applicants are also eligible if they have not previously applied for Cycle 1 or Cycle 2. Each applicant may only submit one grant application. LEAs and ESCs may apply individually or as a fiscal agent or part of a shared services arrangement for Pathways 1 and 2, but not both. An LEA applying for Pathway 1 may also be named as a partner LEA by a Pathway 3 applicant. Similarly, an EPP applying for Pathway 3 may also be named as a partner EPP for a Pathway 1 and 2 applicant. Another key point to note is that regardless of the pathway or combination of pathways chosen, an applicant may request a maximum of $499,999. Key dates and timelines for the Grow Your Own Grant are included within the program guidelines and the table shown. Note that the due date for the application is November 15th, 2019 by 5 p.m. Central Time. And grants are officially awarded on or after February 1st, 2020. Now that you have an understanding of the 3 Grow Your Own pathways, eligibility, and timelines, we would like to recommend a process for completing the application. First, watch the remaining webinars that contain further details for the pathway to which you intend to apply. Then, read through the RFA program guidelines located on the Grants Opportunities page. The program guidelines provide an in-depth information about each component of the 2020-2022 Grow Your Own Grant Program Cycle 3. Start here to develop a clear understanding of the grant structure and expectations. Next, review any supplemental resources provided by TEA on the Grants Opportunities page. These resources provide relevant research, background information, and best practices aligned to the Grow Your Own initiative. These are excellent resources to reference when developing your own Grow Your Own path. Then, read through the general and fiscal guidelines. This document provides an overview of the application process and a detailed description of specific components of the application. Finally, read through and complete the application and required attachment for your selected pathway. Please don't forget to complete the attachment for your selected pathway, which must be submitted with the application in order to be considered for a grant award. The attachments can also be accessed via the Grant Opportunities page. A Grow Your Own application consists of two parts, an application document and the corresponding required attachment document. The application provides the applicant the opportunity to share their needs, plans, and goals in alignment with the goals of the grant. The attachments provide the applicant the opportunity to share more in-depth plans for how they plan to address specific requirements aligned with their chosen pathway. The Grow Your Own application is only considered complete when both the completed application and the corresponding required attachment are submitted. You will either be submitting the attachment for Pathway 1 with an optional section for applications adding Pathway 2, or you will be submitting the attachment for Pathway 3. There are 105 possible points that you can receive for this grant. The points are broken down into 5 categories. 1, the standard review criteria, which is used to score all state competitive grants, is worth 60 points. 2, the specific review criteria, which has been added to the Grow Your Own grant through the application questions, the attachment questions, is worth 20 points. These will be assigned based on the quality of responses to questions asked on the attachment document. 3, priority points based on student enrollment are awarded up to 10 points. Remember, LEAs of any size or type are eligible to apply. These are just additional points awarded based on the number of students enrolled, such that LEAs serving fewer students get more points. This is to align to the overall grant goal of addressing challenges faced by small schools. For an applicant representing multiple LEAs, these priority points will be awarded on the basis of average student enrollment among all participating LEAs. Just as a side note, there are no priority points for LEA types. Or priority points based on letters of support received from LEA school or governing boards up to 5 points. For SSA applicants or EPP applicants partnering with multiple LEAs, these points are based on the percentage of letters of support received from the local school or governing board. Try to submit a letter for each LEA included in the application. 5. In Cycle 3, each applicant also has an opportunity to access an additional 10 priority points. However, this last set of priority points is pathway specific. For LEA and ESC applicants of Pathways 1 and 2, up to 10 points may be awarded for campuses implementing a career and college readiness school model that offers an education and training pathway leading to an Associates of Arts in Teaching. Make sure to attach evidence of this to your application. For EPP applicants of Pathway 3, up to 10 points may be awarded for partner LEAs that agree to implement education and training programs following the guidelines of Pathway 1. Make sure that the MOU between the EPP and partner LEA clearly delineates this additional commitment of incorporating education and training programs on all high school campuses. Together, the total points a Grow Your Own grant application can be awarded is 105 points. Additional information about grant scoring criteria can be found on pages 27 through 29 of the program guidelines and the general and fiscal guidelines documents, both on the TEA Grants Opportunities page. In order to access the grant resources, application, and attachments, please go to the TEA Grants Opportunities page. Use the drop-down menu to select the 2020-2022 Grow Your Own Grant Program Cycle 3 option and submit your application via mail with the application form and attachment to the address indicated on the application. As you review the additional webinars in the sequence, and as you design and complete your grant application, please submit any and all questions that arise. We will compile these questions and address them in a frequently asked questions document. The deadline to submit questions is October 11, 2019. The frequently asked questions document will be posted to the Grow Your Own Grant Opportunities page on October 21st, 2019. We highly encourage you to view the Grow Your Own video for the pathway you are planning to apply to. In addition, you may find it beneficial to watch the education and training course video if you are applying for Pathway 1. They will provide additional information that will strengthen your proposal. Thank you, and we look forward to receiving your application.